I feel like I need to make another video to follow up on the one I made yesterday because some of my followers are very disappointed in my men for being so foolish to spend $1 billion on a house when I'm in such poverty, and they should have known better. And actually, I understand their feelings, because in some ways I kind of feel the same way. But you got to understand something about my men. And I'm not saying what they did was, right or wise, but a lot of them are suffering from PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. Lori McBride has given Brent Spiner hell, and Camilla Alves has done the same for Matthew McConaughey. And if I wasn't in their life, it's very possible that Brent Spiner and Matthew McConaughey would have committed suicide by now because of what Lori McBride and Camilla Alves have done to them. And the only thing that's kept them going is imagining they're making love to me. So we're dealing with men who have PTSD, okay? So I think one of the symptoms of PTSD is poor judgment. And so I think that's one reason I noticed when Jesus showed up to correct me and Terrance, he didn't hit Brent at all. And I think it's because he realizes that it would be too much. So he hit the ones that I think he felt had more of the emotional strength to take the corrective criticism. Um, and he wanted to let me just tell you something. I thought that I was doing the Gail commandments, and it's really easy to deceive yourself into thinking you're doing them when you're not. It's very hard to do the Gail commandments like the way Jesus expects you to do them, especially if you're an American or you live in an affluent society. For instance, it's easy to forget to take your Seroquel at the same time every day. It's easy to get lost in your work and and think, oh shucks, I forgot to take my medicine. It can happen. You can get busy, you can get distracted. So you just got to make it at a point to set the alarm. You got to remember to set the alarm to remind yourself to take it. So I was taking it every day, but I wasn't. The Gail commandments say at the same time every day. So that's where I screwed up. Thou shalt eat a balanced diet without concerns about allergens or toxins. When Jesus says that, he means it. In other words, Jesus is not into eating only organic and that sort of stuff. And it's really hard not to be influenced by that. We are inundated with people advising us, and let me tell you another area. Jesus doesn't want me to go to the dentist. He actually flattened the tire in my car when I made an appointment to see the dentist. And I said, Jesus, what did you do that for? And he said, well, I found out later, I went to the dentist, and the dentist told me that I had a horrible cavity in my root. And this dentist had been a good dentist up to this time, and I believed him. He looked real somber and said, we're going to have to do an implant. Even a root canal won't work. And he said, it's going to cost you about $3,000. Oh, I don't have the money for this. I mean, I was already like on welfare. And I thought, I can't believe Jesus would let this happen to me. And Jesus showed up a couple days later. He said, Gail, he said, that dentist lied to you. You do not have a huge cavity down in the root of your molar. And he says, I want you to cancel that appointment. So I said, oh, really? He says, yes. He said, I said, but I thought my man told me my dentist was a good man. And he said, he was a good man. He said, I just saw him in heaven. But the Jesuits murdered your dentist on the day you had the appointment. They replaced him with a clone. And the clone lied to you, showed you a fake x-ray, and said that you had a huge cavity. Well, That was 2013, and I have not been to a dentist since. Jesus does not want me to go to the dentist right now. I'm telling you. And now this is against what most Americans believe. It's not easy to be Jesus's disciple. I'm telling you. So, pray for my men. Yes, they blew it. But let me tell you, it's not easy to be Jesus's disciples. Like, you can criticize Peter for denying the Lord 3 times, but don't you be so sure that if you were in Peter's shoes that you would have done any better. It's easy to talk. That's why instead of criticizing my men, they need our prayers, okay? A lot of them are suffering from PTSD, okay? It can cause you to have poor judgment. Lori McBride and Melania Trump are giving my men hell in court. And that's probably why they made such a foolish decision. They're just so wore out. I think they're actually suffering from PTSD. Now, not all of them are. Some of those men were evil, like the Gail's men going their own way, Viggo Mortensen and them. But I know Brent is a good man. And so is Terence Jenkins. But, they work them. Jesus gave us the Gail commandments because he loves us and he's trying to protect us from going off into error that's going to destroy us. Okay, the other one. Thou shalt not toil in activities, even honorable work to the Lord, to the extent that sleep is sacrificed. I'm finding it takes about 6 hours out of my day just to do the Gail commandments. And it's hard to set aside that much time. And I'm learning that in order to do them, I have to treat it like a job. And so that's what I have to do. And I tell myself, oh, yes, I'll be in bed by midnight. But if I don't start preparing to go to bed about 9 p.m., I won't make it to bed because I got to get the vacuuming done. I got to get the dusting done. I got to take my shower. I mean, these are the Gail commandments. It eats up about 5 or 6 hours out of your day to do the Gail commandments. Plus, I'm supposed to make these videos. So, okay. I'm not making excuses for myself, but I'm telling you, instead of judging me and my men for failing in the Gail commandments, understand that it's challenging, okay? We are human. We're going to slip up and fall. Terence Jenkins is a lawyer and judge in these legal cases, and he's trying so much to defend me and my men that he'll push himself, and he drinks too much coffee, and Jesus has been getting on him about his coffee. And it's really easy to get off balance. And he likes to spend money on his guns, and Jesus got over him on that. You got to understand this guy grew up in Compton, California. And he's got this mindset, from that time, and it's hard to overcome your upbringing. Another thing, thou shalt honor the Lord's temple by taking time every day to self-groom, bathe, brush teeth, stay clean. That takes time. Thou shalt honor the home of Jesus' favorite by taking time every day to clean, wipe down laundry, vacuum, and dust your apartment. That takes time. Thou shalt go on walks every day. That takes time. But see, basically, Jesus knows that if he didn't give us these Gail commandments, we'd get off balance, we'd end up neglecting our health, and he'd have dead followers. And he doesn't want that. Okay? Thou shalt spend money only on food and bills. Now, this one is really hard for Americans to do. For instance, did you know that Jesus has forbidden me to go to a beautician? I color and cut my own hair. So you might think, oh, you're a beautician. No, I'm not a beautician. Let me tell you what happened. I made the video where Jesus told me to put black face paint all over my face. He says, you've got the hood mentality, Gail. He says, this is what happens when people come from a poor background and they spend the rest of their life thinking they got to spend their money as soon as they get it because they might lose it. He called it the hood mentality. Well, I think I've graduated from the hood mentality, but not completely. Terence Jenkins has the same problem. And let me tell you, spending money only on food and bills is not easy for Americans to do. You would say, well, I've learned how to color and cut my own hair by just sculpting it. I didn't go to beautician school. But Jesus said, nope, Gail, beautician. Actually, that I know that sounds so cool. You think Jesus is mean? He's telling you you can't spend money on a beautician. No, he's not mean, because Jesus knows what's going to happen. I'm like the #1 target in the whole world. You know what will happen to me if I go to a beautician? It'll be a Jesuit beautician. They'll deliberately botch my hair, and probably I'll end up. It's already happened to me. They got one of my beauticians and they switched him out with a clone, and he chopped my hair really crap. He gave me the crappy cut. It looked horrible. You know, at first I thought Jesus was kind of mean to say that, but you know what? Learning how to cut and color my own hair has actually made it so that I look really good now with my hair, because I do a better job than the beauticians. Now, Jesus knew I could figure out how to do it myself. He knew I'd learn how. My mother's actually a beautician. So he knew that by giving me that order, that I'd learn how to cut my own hair. So he's not cruel, he's brilliant. Jesus is brilliant. And it doesn't cost me any money. I did have to buy some beautician scissors and some sculpting stuff, and my mother taught me how to color my hair. Coloring's pretty easy. Cutting is a challenge. And I still don't quite have it down, but I'm getting better, getting better. You say, how do you do the back? I hold a mirror to the back and I just kind of like sculpt it. But I have to work on it all the time. I'm usually cutting my hair at least once a week. Because I'll find, I think I missed a spot, but I'm getting better, see? Okay, so, but how many of you all out there would think spending money on a beautician's a sin? So I'm telling you, don't be too hard on us, okay? We are trying to be an example for you, me and my men, but Jesus has got some high standards. Okay, thou shalt take only one multivitamin and allergy medication per day. Well, I thought I was obeying that, and actually I have been, because I have been taking a Vitamin Shot brand multivitamin that I got a really good deal on. And when I said I could save $40 a month, I was also including some stuff that I bought, like I bought some blank DVDs to help me with my writing, because I was transcribing from a movie to get research material, and it was easier for me to do it from the blank DVDs. So I bought about 50 of them for about $15. You just said, that's above food and bills. You violated, Gail. See, and like I bought a new pan for cooking. Jesus said, nope. Man, I thought, man, Jesus really means it when he says, because I thought my other pan was leaking. But apparently it wasn't leaking bad enough that I justified buying a new pan. Jesus says, keep your pan. I guess if it isn't leaking to the point where it's getting all over the stove, it hasn't leaked enough to justify getting a new pan. You get my drift here? So Jesus really means it when he says only food and bills. In fact, I remember thinking, okay, I think I need some new clothes for walking, Lord. Maybe I'll just go buy me some thread. Jesus said, only food and bills. I'm telling you. Right now, let me tell you why I thought I couldn't save $100 a month. My rent, my electric bill, my internet bill, and my car insurance bill made it so that I only had $30 above my income for anything else besides food and bills. The rent and all the other fixed expenses just ate it all up. And I can't cut the rent. I can't cut my internet bill. How can I make a YouTube video with, I can't cut the car insurance. It's law. You got to have car insurance. And I don't have fancy car insurance. It's really cheap. Just liability. That's it. And, it's like I'm trying to be cheap on everything. And I was thinking, Jesus, how am I going to save? That's why I thought he was going to move me to Texas. But you know what? Sometimes I'll get surprise gifts from people, and Jesus takes that into consideration. So he said, Gail, it's like he already told me, Gail, you live like a missionary. Okay, he expects me to live like a missionary, and my men too. So, I have a good feeling about that Bible for Tribulation Saints. I think it's going to be a blockbuster seller. I think it's going to sell triple billions, and my men are going to be able to pay off that debt they have. Buy the book. I told them they could make leather-bound versions and everything.